Standard administrative theory defines leadership through formal hierarchy, decision rights, and the control of financial incentives. This model assumes that institutions endure because rules are codified and formal positions are occupied. Positional authority proves brittle when organizations face extreme volatility and systemic uncertainty. Directives from the top lose their efficacy when the operating environment becomes unpredictable. Institutional legitimacy, the recognized right to govern, sustains an organization when formal control fails. Leadership is a layered social achievement. It relies on the deliberate organization of legitimacy across multiple scales of human interaction. The Multiscale Influence Architecture, or MIA, proposes that durable power requires a bridge between material reality, human cognition, and societal structure. This architecture integrates 5 linked domains: science, psychology, history, culture, and politics. These domains serve as active layers of explanation. Power becomes durable only when an organization's material resources, behavioral drivers, and political structures align. Isolating reality into disciplinary silos distorts our understanding of organizational power. A strategic view requires synthesizing these levels into a single, coherent map. We will deconstruct this architecture, starting from the physical constraints of reality and moving up to the formalization of global power. Layer 1 is science. It provides an epistemic discipline of humility, establishing the foundational constraints that any leadership strategy must respect. Concepts like quantum uncertainty and relativity demonstrate that complex systems are nonlinear and relational, governed by scale and structural interdependence rather than simple cause and effect. Failure often occurs when leaders assume executive authority can mechanically override these structural constraints. They treat dynamic systems as if they were predictable machines. Structural reality is mediated through Layer 2, psychology. Physical constraints only become actionable once they are processed through human cognition and behavioral dynamics. Organizations are driven by deep-seated psychological mechanisms: status seeking, group conformity, and the avoidance of social exclusion. Followers evaluate legitimacy through subtle social cues. Comportment, restraint, and symbolic performance determine authority more effectively than a job title. Formal institutional designs that ignore the psychological realities of status and belonging fail to generate genuine loyalty. Layer 3 is history. It serves as a macroscopic laboratory where individual psychological behaviors aggregate into institutional patterns over centuries. The Library of Alexandria illustrates the importance of epistemic infrastructure, the systems used to preserve and transmit civilizational memory. Institutions that lose their ability to preserve knowledge cripple their capacity for future strategic judgment. The Medici family demonstrates the mechanism of capital conversion. Raw economic wealth is brittle and easily seized. The Medicis secured their influence by converting financial resources into aesthetic patronage and cultural prestige. The Meiji Restoration shows how institutions undergo rapid transformation when faced with an existential threat. The Meiji elite practiced selective modernization, integrating external technological models while maintaining their internal cultural coherence. Historical durability requires the active, continuous conversion of raw resources into cultural relevance. Layer 4 is culture. It is the social technology that translates abstract hierarchy into a readable, everyday language. Elite signaling, luxury branding, etiquette, and aesthetic discipline functions as a rigorous mechanism of boundary maintenance. These symbolic codes lower friction and communicate institutional competence. They allow high-status actors to coordinate without explicit, coercive enforcement. Informal cultural legitimacy must eventually be formalized into Layer 5, politics. The separation of powers is an architectural guardrail. It structures and limits the psychological pathologies of human ambition. Diplomatic protocol manages friction between high-status actors, protecting institutional face and stabilizing expectations. Politics provides the formal container that prevents cultural prestige from degrading into raw, unstable domination. When the symbolic order of an institution authentically reflects its history and psychological incentives, the system generates soft power. Soft power allows institutions to shape preferences and generate trust through attraction. This normative resonance secures compliance more effectively than direct coercion. Modern corporate and organizational leaders rely on these same mechanisms of attraction to manage international reputation and talent recruitment. Hard power compels obedience, but soft power induces identification. Attraction remains a more sustainable strategy than force. Status systems and cultural signaling possess a dark side. They can become purely exclusionary barriers that prioritize insider status over merit. This leads to ceremonial decay. It occurs when an institution's symbolic signaling detaches from its underlying competence and material reality. Disconnected protocol ceases to manage friction. It instead reproduces elite closure, alienating outsiders and masking stagnation under the guise of refinement. Leadership consists of the disciplined alignment of material reality, human cognition, historical memory, symbolic meaning, and formal governance.